Lab Rattles. Chapter 1. The budget cuts. The pungent aroma of damp cellulose mingled with the faint whiff of burnt toast as Professor Cedric Bumblethorpe perched precariously at the edge of his cluttered desk. His forehead glistened under the fluorescent glare, droplets merging into rivulets that trickled down to meet his eyebrows. The official letter from the upper echelons of government lay open before him, its crisp edges taunting him with every bureaucratic syllable. "Budget cuts," he muttered, running a hand through his unruly hair, causing it to stand even further on end. The words felt sharp and jagged on his tongue, as though speaking them aloud might somehow grant them undue power. Clusters of lurking shadows flickered ominously across the ceiling, the steady swing of the red warning light casting its foreboding glow over rows of filing cabinets. For the moment, the lab's usual hum of machinery and the distant murmurs of memory-stirring monsters were muted, leaving only the unpredictable buzz of Cedric's frantic thoughts. He dropped the letter onto the desk and sprang into action. Papers fluttered like oversized confetti as he rifled through reports and memos, searching for something, anything, that would convince the inspectors they were more than just an expensive mistake. His knobby knees banged against the metal filing drawers, the impact lost only in urgency. "Don't worry, everyone," Cedric called out, though the lab around him was silent save for the rustling of paper and the menacing pulse of the overhead alarm. "Just a little hurdle. We've let bigger ones before. A bit of paperwork will sort it all out. It always does." The door at the far end of the room swung open with a bang, and Dr. Penelope Wiggins appeared, her sharp gaze cutting through the fog of chaos. "What's happened?" Without waiting for an answer, she sidled up beside Cedric, snatching at the pages in his grip. Her eyes darted across the words, absorbing their contents far too quickly for anyone's comfort. "Funding!" Cedric gasped, gesturing expansively at the whirlwind of documents around them. "They've cut our funding." "Typical," Penelope replied briskly, ticking off her conclusions with a precision honed by endless crises. Her voice was a taut thread, barely concealing frustration. "Let me guess. They've sent an inspector?" Cedric nodded, the motion almost comical amidst his dishevelled state. Yes, a whole team actually, and they're on their way now." A sudden wail of eerie mechanical sirens reverberated through the labyrinthine corridors, a banshee's cry echoing from the tannoy and bouncing between steel walls. The lab seemed to shudder in sympathy, or perhaps panic. Penelope arched an eyebrow. "Well, that's handled brilliantly, hasn't it?" Cedric swayed, overwhelmed but clinging to optimism as though it were a life vest. "It's not as bad as it sounds, I promise. Just a shuffle. Reallocation of resources, you know?" He grinned, though it bore the unsettling quality of an unhinged man's delight. "Resource reallocation?" Penelope's voice was already dangerously laced with incredulity. "Operation Hide Everything," Cedric declared grandly, flinging his arms wide as if unveiling an invisible mural of pure genius. "Move all the, agricultural prototypes to another location until they bore of all this." She regarded him with a mixture of pity and resignation. Most people would suspect an imminent breakdown, but Penelope knew better. She'd been with Cedric long enough to recognize the phases of his peculiar brand of madness, and this was alarmingly familiar territory. "Gavin!" Cedric shouted, pivoting sharply and almost toppling into a bookcase. "Gavin, for goodness sake, hurry up!" Gavin Pritchard stumbled in, a human ghost of anxiety trailing after him, clutching a clipboard as if it might shield him from both monsters and managerial wrath. His eyes darted between Cedric and Penelope, seeking sanctuary in either. "Here, sir," he squeaked, the words barely escaping the clenched grip of his throat. "Right then," Cedric continued with feverish bravado, grabbing Gavin by the shoulders and guiding him towards a sprawling wall map. "We split the prototypes into groups. You'll oversee Group A, Penelope takes B, and I'll handle C. It's all very organised." Gavin's face blanched to a hue rivaling his lab coat. And if the inspectors find?" Cedric beamed. "Why, there won't be any evidence left for them to discover." His explanation brimmed with misplaced cheer, ignoring both logic and gravity. "Just the usual parsnip progress reports, not far from their makeshift command centre. Barry, Baz Perkins sauntered in, jingling with the sound of misplaced keys. He looked, as always, significantly less concerned than anyone ought to be in the face of impending doom. "Baz, status update," Cedric commanded, dashing over to him as if this alone might prevent disaster. "Well, we've got a bit of an issue," Baz began, scratching the back of his neck absent-mindedly. "Seems the sea serpent got loose from the holding pool. Quite apologetic about it, though." Cedric's smile never faltered, though his left eye twitched rhythmically. "Collins escaped, Just a minor hiccup." His words tightened slightly around the edges. "We have him back by dinner, yes?" Penelope sighed, and without thinking, Cedric mirrored the sentiment. Among the clipped sheets of plans and blueprints labelled in his own erratic scrawl, hope hung like a thin breath waiting to be dispelled. Yet before Cedric could launch into another burst of dizzying plans, a distant boom juddered through the floor, rattling everything from wall-mounted beakers to the fillings in his teeth. Papers fluttered to the ground like snowflakes, the fragile mask of order disintegrating alongside. "Explosions!" Cedric wheezed, straightening his lab coat with a determined twitch. His words were brave little lies clinging desperately to resolve. "We must hope it's only fireworks." The echo spiraled into silence, heavy with threat. The lab shifted from murmurs to hushed whispers, breaths held at the mouth of uncertainty. Cedric looked to his colleagues, his fellow conspirators in chaos. "If we don't tell them," he suggested, voice just barely above a whisper. They might never know. All knew the impossible possibility lay bare before them. Monsters and suits inching closer each heartbeat, each decision a roll of dice over jagged edges. A single decision. One more act of brazen foolishness or unexpected brilliance awaited them at this labyrinth's heart. Cedric inhaled softly, measured, and with characteristic misplaced dignity declared, "Team Popplethorpe." He blinked, missing his mark but undeterred. "Let's show them what excellence looks like." This speech was poised unevenly between a charge and a sigh, yet his words dimmed neither light nor spirit. And so, they stood at the precipice of calamity, primed by absurdity and paper, the booms beyond announcing a new chapter of chaos yet to come. Chapter 2. Escape begins. Dr. Penelope Wiggins leaned over her cluttered desk, papers scattered like fallen leaves caught in a storm. Her fingers worked tirelessly, adjusting her glasses with a flick of impatience. The tension in the air was palpable, pressing down with a weight only those who've spent their lives anticipating disaster could truly feel. As if acknowledging her unspoken dread, a siren blared, slicing through the air with a piercing wail. It was a sound both forgotten and feared, a grim reminder that the fragile balance they clung to was shattering into chaos. "Bloody marvellous," Penelope muttered under her breath. She spun in her chair, feet hitting the ground with a decisive thud as she rose. Her eyes flicked across the lab's control panel, every light flashing an urgent red. Her heart pounded in concert with the alarms, yet her hands moved with calm purpose. In the swirling panic that engulfed the lab's corridors, she was a steady ship amid a storm, navigating through the human debris of shouting scientists and scrambling technicians. The usually sterile, orderly environment was disintegrating into bedlam. As she approached the containment area, the metallic clank of cage doors echoed, underscoring the escape in full swing. Creatures of the night, half-formed lab prototypes, and unexpected experiment results dashed towards freedom, a conga line of absurdity framed by imminent disaster. Penelope reached the command station in the hub of all this madness. Her hand instinctively found the lever marked Plan 47, the result of many sleepless nights and caffeine-fueled strategy sessions. With a swift tug, she activated contingency protocols, watching as the monitoring displays around her fizzled into new patterns. Yet her eyes twitched towards the sealed gates, slowly drifting open. The possibility had gnawed at her plenty of nights, the moment where control fluttered away like an elusive butterfly, taunting her with its fragility. This was no longer a mere experiment gone awry. It was a spree of pandemonium unfurling right beneath her nose. The open gate loomed, a gaping maw inviting chaos. A wave of swampy sea air rolled in, accompanied by the swirl of Colin the sea serpent. The creature slithered past, eyes mournful and apologies murmured, as he vanished with surprising grace despite his bulk. How something so large managed to seem almost apologetic, she had never quite grasped, but there it was before her, a contradiction in scales. "Sorry for the trouble," Colin called out, his voice a low rumble. In his wake, Reginald the vampire paused, robes flapping like regal wings. He cast a gentleman's nod, apologetic yet dignified. Penelope knew arguing was futile. Instead, she focused on averting a total disaster. The lab's staff buzzed around her, catching fragments of chaos in hopeful, if ineffective, outbursts. "Secure the exits!" yelled Baz Perkins, though his voice creaked under the pressure of his own ineptitude. Barry had already lost 2 sets of keys, leaving the entire security system as useful as a teacup in a thunderstorm. "We don't have time for closed meetings, Reginald," she called out helplessly to the vampire, who paused, possibly out of sheer politeness. Reginald merely tipped his hat. "Terribly sorry, dear, but I simply must dash. Appointments, you know." And with that, he melded into shadows as though born from them. With the first wave of escapees slipping away, her focus fixed to the flickering screens relaying glimpses of their handiwork. She caught sight of Nigel the werewolf swiftly overtaken by a litter of enthusiastic spaniels, his natural charisma earning him a role as an impromptu dog walker, strangers on the other side of the monitors utterly oblivious to his lupine credentials. "Hurry!" urged a voice at her side. It was Gavin Pritchard, pale and anxious, his hands twisting over one another in endless loops. The situation was dire, no doubt, and yet Penelope felt her thoughts sharpening through the panic, crisp as the air of an early morning in Yorkshire. She issued orders quickly and clearly, voice cutting through the confusion with the precision of a scalpel. "Divert all personnel to secondary containment. Prepare the emergency protocols. No, Barry, turn left." Barry's own frantic dash turned into a chaotic sidestep that would have been laughable in any other circumstance. Penelope couldn't watch. She needed focus, not comedy, though her life seemed hell-bent on providing the latter. Amidst the madness, Doris the zombie lumbered past, a shuffling mirage of confusion blended harmlessness. It wasn't long before a gaggle of people mistook her for an employee, demanding assistance with a broken microwave and an overflowing cart of rotisserie chickens. Oddly enough, Doris obliged, slow motion somehow appearing purposeful. A screen on her right showed Winston the giant pig sauntering into traffic, his massive frame stopping cars and startling commuters. Somehow it all seemed so ridiculous that Penelope's laughter bubbled, wild and unchecked. Was there no end to the absurdity? "What do we do?" Gavin's voice broke through her increasingly hysterical thoughts. He was at her elbow again, hoping for guidance that wouldn't come in the form of another disaster. For a moment, all Penelope could do was blink at the man before a kind of resigned resolve settled in her bones. "We follow Plan 47, Gavin, and hope these idiots find their way back before anyone notices more than they must." It was a thin comfort, but it was a plan, and in a situation as farcical as this, one could ask for little else. But as she turned her gaze to the rows of flickering screens, there was one problem she couldn't simply strategize away. Nigel Van Helsing was due to arrive. She wondered if perhaps his legendary incompetence could, serendipitously, fall in their favor, or magnify the bedlam that threatened to swallow them whole. The moment lingered on her periphery, a dark cloud brooding with possibility, edging the atmosphere with electricity, enticing what would come next. It was a fleeting thought, a distant worry she couldn't afford to engage, lest it drag morale to new lows. Yet for all the farce, for all the might-be doom on the horizon, Penelope couldn't shake an unsettling suspicion that Nigel's part in this unfolding absurdity would turn out to be both a curse and a delight. Would he be their downfall or their accidental saviour? She supposed she'd find out soon enough, if the lab survived long enough to see it.